Welcome to the podcast. Today we're discussing a New York Times article with the headline, "Yes, the show has drawn raves. But some of the objects are not real." Written by Robin Pogrebin, the piece takes us behind the scenes at the New York Historical, formerly known as the New York Historical Society, which recently opened its new Tang Wing for American democracy. The wing, built at a steep cost of $175 million, has been touted as a major expansion for the museum and as a capstone to the career of architect Robert A. M. Stern. Stern, a prominent traditionalist architect, considered this project the final museum of his career. The inaugural exhibition, Democracy Matters, opened on June 18 to glowing reviews. Reviewers praised the show's narrative and the powerful objects on display. Critics highlighted a range of historical objects: a Grover Cleveland campaign kerchief, a Bataille Sar assemblage sculpture titled Extreme Times Call for Extreme Heroines, a hand-lettered evening gown urging passage of the long-stalled Equal Rights Amendment, and posters by Norman Rockwell. But just 1 month after opening, none of those original objects are actually on display. The museum had scrambled to reproduce or remove them once the light issue became clear. They still appear to be there, but if you look closely at the wall labels, they quietly acknowledge that this object is a reproduction and that item is a facsimile. The labels don't draw attention to the switch, they simply note the status. The problem came to light only as the exhibition was about to open. The museum realized that the gallery's large upper windows would shower sunshine on very light-sensitive artworks, potentially causing irreversible damage. The museum's first response was to lower blackout shades on those windows. But that would have plunged the gallery into darkness, hiding the soaring ceilings and the natural light that Stern designed. But director Louise Murr realized how much that undermined the wing's soaring architecture. She insisted the shades be raised back up. Murr, who has led the museum for over a decade, felt the architecture was integral to the visitor experience. In an interview, Murr said, quote, "I felt it was disrespectful of the architect's final museum project. We had to find a means that could accommodate both the architecture and the exhibition narrative, which we did," end quote. So, to protect the vulnerable works while preserving the architect's vision, the museum replaced 17 of them with reproductions and removed another 3 entirely. The reproductions were created by the museum's conservation team, aiming to match the originals as closely as possible. In one instance, Sar's three-dimensional assemblage, which the wall label describes as featuring a mammy caricature with an assault rifle on a washboard topped by a clock, was replaced by a simple digital photograph of the work. That photograph, printed on paper, lost the depth and texture of the original assemblage. After the New York Times raised questions about the prevalence of reproductions in the show, the museum said it would remove the photograph because it did not adequately depict Sar's work. The museum acknowledged the photograph fell short and promised a better solution. The episode underscores a tension that museums often face, balancing the desire for striking, light-filled architecture with the fundamental responsibility to conserve original artifacts. It also raises questions about transparency. Should visitors be told more prominently when they're looking at a copy? It also leaves visitors wondering how much of what they're seeing is the real thing. For now, the show remains open, but the conversation about authenticity continues. Thanks for listening.